The aim of the practical is to titrate the phosphoric acid solution against NaOH and to calculate the first, second, and third ionization constant of it pH metrically. So basically, in this practical, we will be titrating phosphoric acid against NaOH, and during the course of the titration, you have to determine the pH values using a pH meter, and using those values, you have to find out the first, second, and third ionization constant of phosphoric acid. So first of all, it is important to understand what is ionization, right? So ionization is the process by which an atom or a molecule acquires positive or negative charge by gaining or losing the electron. So over here, you have to find out the first, second, and third ionization constant of phosphoric acid, right? And the ionization constant depends upon the equilibrium constant which is being attained between the unionized and ionized molecules or atoms. So why three ionization constant values, that we will see further. Now, the phosphoric acid is a triprotic acid. Okay, so let us first of all understand why it is triprotic acid. There are many acids or bases which are polyfunctional in nature. Okay, this means that these acids and bases which are polyfunctional would be having more than one ionizable proton or hydroxide ion. Okay, over here you can see that phosphoric acid H3PO4 is a polyfunctional in nature. Okay, because it is having three protons which could be ionized, right? So it is a triprotic acid, tri because three H plus ions. Okay, so H3PO4, that is phosphoric acid, is a triprotic acid, and since there are three protons, each one of this proton would get titrated against NaOH separately, and the neutralization, or you can say ionization, of phosphoric acid occurs in three different steps. Okay, so initially when you take phosphoric acid and when you start titrating it against NaOH, the first proton out of this three gets titrated against NaOH and it will give you NaH2PO4 plus H2O, that is sodium dihydrogen phosphate. Then this sodium dihydrogen phosphate reacts with NaOH again. So the proton, I mean one of the proton from this two protons will get titrated against NaOH to give you Na2HPO4, that is sodium hydrogen phosphate. Then the last proton which is there would get titrated against NaOH and you will be getting sodium phosphate Na3PO4 plus H2O. So you can see that neutralization occurs in three different steps, right? And at the end, the entire neutralization of the phosphoric acid would get completed when all of the three protons in it would get titrated against NaOH. Now, as I told you that phosphoric acid ionizes or gets neutralized stepwise, right? And we can even write down the equilibrium constant for each one of these steps. Since there are three steps, there would be three equilibrium constant values, or you can say ionization constant values. Okay, so in the first step, when you take H3PO4, it will react with NaOH. It will one of the proton would get detached from it. Okay, it would get ionized. Okay, and it would attach to OH minus and it would produce water. Okay, and you will be getting sodium dihydrogen phosphate, that is H2PO4 minus. Okay, and for this ionization constant Ka1 is 1.1 into 10 raised to minus 2. Okay, and we know that equilibrium constant is product upon reactant, right? Ionized species upon unionized species. Okay. Now, in the second part, H2PO4 minus again will react with NaOH to release one of the proton and it would get converted into HPO4 minus, that is Na2HPO4 it will form, right? And during this process the equilibrium constant, or you can say ionization constant, Ka2 would be equal to 7.5 into 10 raised to minus 8. Then the last proton of the phosphoric acid would again get released, or you can say ionized, and it would give you PO4 3 minus. Okay, and that is Na3PO4 sodium phosphate would be formed in the mixture. Okay, and the ionization constant value, that is Ka3, would be 4.8 into 10 raised to minus 13 for the last step. Now pKa1, pKa2 and pKa3 values for phosphoric acid are 1.96, 7.12 and 12.32 respectively. Okay, so this three, Ka1, Ka2 and Ka3 are the ionization constant values, and pKa1, pKa2 and pKa3 values are the negative log of this constant values. Okay, so both of this can be interconverted into each other. If you want to find out the pKa1 from this values, then you have to take the negative log of this values. Okay, so in this way you can interconvert both of these values. Now ionization constant values would be constant at a constant temperature. Okay, so with the change in temperature, there would be slight changes in the ionization constant values also. So over here, this values would remain constant at 25 degrees Celsius. Okay, and with the change in temperature, there would be slight changes in this values. Now over here, if you observe properly, then you can see that as the neutralization increases, equilibrium constant value, or you can say ionization constant value, decreases. Okay, initially for the first step it is 10 raised to minus 2, then it is 10 raised to minus 8, and in the last step it is in 10 raised to minus 13. So with the neutralization, equilibrium constant value or ionization constant value decreases. Okay, it progressively decreases. This is because there would be an increase in the negative charge, and that makes dissociation of the next proton more difficult. Over here you can see that from step after the step, the negative charge increases from -1 to -2 to -3, right? So as negative charge increases, it makes the release of the next proton quite difficult. Okay, initially there would be 3 protons, there would be no negative charge, so one of the proton could be easily ionized, right? After that, in the second step, there would be one negative charge, so then it would be slightly difficult, not much difficult, but slightly more difficult than the first proton. So the second proton would feel slight difficulty in its ionization, okay, and it would get ionized. Then you can see that there would be more negative charge, -2. So it is very difficult to ionize or dissociate this last proton, okay, because the negative charge increases, and as negative charge increases, this proton would be strongly attached, right? So it would be difficult to detach this H plus ions, and due to this, the ionization constant value decreases. Okay. Okay, so over here we are titrating for phosphoric acid against NaOH, and since the neutralization occurs in 3 different steps, you will be getting 3 equivalence points, right? And if you compare the ionization constant values, then you can see that pKa1, pKa2 and pKa3 are quite far from each other. The values are quite far from each other, and it is said that if this individual pKa values are separated by 3 units or more, then the system would be considered to be as a simple mixture of 3 weak acids of equal concentration that largely do not interact with each other. Okay, and here also you can see that the pKa1, pKa2 and pKa3 values are being separated by a unit of 3, right? The difference is quite more. I mean, it is more than 3 units, and due to this, the system, that is the phosphoric acid solution, would be considered to be as a mixture of 3 different weak acids. Okay, and this 3 different weak acid would be titrated against NaOH one by one, and you will be getting the 3 equivalence points. Okay, it is only a one acid, that is phosphoric acid. When since it is a triprotic acid, the system would act as a mixture of 3 different weak acids, and each one of this proton would get titrated individually with NaOH, or you can say it would get titrated separately with NaOH, and you will be getting the 3 ionization constant values of it, and finally you will be getting the 3 equilibrium constant values of it, right? So as I told you that it is difficult to remove the last proton, right? So there would be difficulty in getting the third ionization constant value. But how that can be overcome, that we will see further. And again, we will see in detail that why it is difficult to remove the last proton. Okay, one reason I have already given that due to the increase in the negative charge, it would be highly difficult to remove the last proton. Okay, so that we will see further in quite detail. Okay. So basically for this practical, first of all, you have to take phosphoric acid in a beaker, and suppose say you have taken 0.05 normal H3PO4. Okay, and you have to feel the zero point 0.5 normal NaOH in burette. You have to use the glass electrode for the pH measurements. Okay, and you have to keep on adding the NaOH solution, and you have to find out the pH values. So with the help of that values, you have to draw a graph of pH versus the volume of the NaOH which is being added. And as I told you that since the neutralization occurs in 3 different steps, you will be getting 3 equivalence point values. Okay, that would be V1, V2 and V3. Okay, so initially when you find out the pH of the solution, that is of the phosphoric acid, it would be around 1.6 or 1.7. So phosphoric acid, we know that is a triprotic acid, okay, and the pH value of the solution would be around 1.6 to 1.7. Okay, so initially in the graph also you can see that the pH would be very less. Okay, and then when you keep on adding the NaOH solution, the first proton would get titrated against NaOH, right? And once all of the first protons, okay, has been titrated against NaOH, you will be getting the equivalence point. You will be getting a proper pH break. Okay, from here you can see that over here there is a proper pH break. pH increases suddenly, okay, and you will be getting the equivalence point. That is the first equivalence point when all of the first protons would be titrated against NaOH and you have obtained NaH2PO4 in your solution. Okay, after that the second proton would get titrated against NaOH. Okay, and again you will be seeing a proper pH break and you will be getting the second equivalence point. So you can see over here, after the first equivalence point, the pH would be still acidic in nature. Okay, it would be still acidic. Then comes the second equivalence point. After the second equivalence point, you can see that the pH is increasing continuously. So after the second equivalence point, the pH would become mildly alkaline. Okay, and when you keep on adding the NaOH solution, the last proton would get titrated against NaOH, but you won't be able to see a proper pH break. Okay, don't consider this much part right now. Okay, don't consider this thing right now. Just observe this curve. Okay, you can see that in the first equivalence point there is a proper pH break. Over here also there is a proper pH break. Then for the last proton you won't be able to see a pH break. Okay, neutralization would occur but the proper pH break won't be observed in the graph, or in your results you won't be able to see the proper pH break. Okay, because it is very difficult to remove the last proton and even the pH of the solution would be alkaline. Okay, it would be now alkaline. After the second equivalence point, the pH would be mildly alkaline, but when you keep on adding the NaOH solution, the pH would turn to be highly alkaline, right? And you won't be able to see the proper pH break and you won't be able to find out the third equivalence point. Okay, and the one of the reason is that the ionization constant, when it is less than 10 raised to minus 9, then it is difficult to observe the proper pH break in the titration curve. Right over here you can see that the ionization constant for the last step is 10 raised to minus 13. So it is very less than 10 raised to minus 9. So whenever the ionization constant value is very less, or you can say lesser than 10 raised to minus 9, then it is difficult to observe a proper pH break in the titration curve, right? So you cannot observe the equivalence point, right? And you won't be able to get the third equivalence point, right? So in order to overcome this and in order to obtain the proper third equivalence point, what should be done? Okay, that we will be seeing further. For that, you can add 10 to 15 ml of 10% neutral calcium chloride solution. So just after the second equivalence point has been obtained, in the beaker where you are having H3PO4, which would be now Na2HPO4, okay, because after the second equivalence point, in the solution there would be Na2HPO4, that is HPO4 2 minus. So in that you need to add calcium chloride. Okay. So now as I told you that in the solution there would be Na2HPO4 that would react with calcium chloride to give calcium phosphate precipitates NaCl plus H plus ions plus Cl minus ions. So you can see that the last proton is being released by the addition of calcium chloride into the solution. Okay, and you can see that the HCl is being generated. Okay, so due to this release of H plus ions, the pH would decrease. Okay, it would suddenly drop. Okay, over here again I am repeating, just after the second equivalence point has been obtained, you have to add one test tube or 1.5 test tube of 10% neutral calcium chloride into this beaker, which is having HPO4 2 minus. Okay, and what will happen? H plus ions would be released. Okay, the last proton would be released in the solution, and due to this accumulation of H plus ions, the pH would drop. Okay, so now don't consider this line. It was just for your understanding. Okay, so when you add neutral calcium chloride, the pH up till now would have reached over here, but when you add neutral calcium chloride, it would suddenly drop due to the formation of the H plus ions, which would be released from Na2HPO4. Okay, the pH would suddenly drop. Now keep on adding the NaOH solution. So again, the last proton will react with NaOH, right, and it would get titrated and the pH would again start increasing. So over here you can easily observe the pH break. Okay, this and this graph are one and the same thing. Okay, so again I'm repeating, after the second equivalence point immediately you have to add 10% neutral calcium chloride solution. So H plus ions would be released, and due to this the pH would suddenly drop, and then again keep on adding the NaOH solution in the beaker and the pH would again rise, and you will properly observe a pH break, and that would be your third equivalence point, wherein all of the H plus ions which are released in this solution would get titrated against NaOH, and all of these three reactions would get completed. Okay, and if you want to find out the total ionization constant of the entire process, then it would be the summation of all of this ionization constant values. Okay, and yes, so this can be done in order to properly titrate the third H plus ion against NaOH. You have to add 10% neutral calcium chloride solution. Okay, so initially there would be H3PO4, then after the first equivalence point it would be H2PO4 minus, then after the second equivalence point it would be HPO4 2 minus, and at the end when all of the protons, all of the three protons have been titrated, it would be PO4 3 minus. Okay, so now let us see further in detail that what is being done during the practical. Okay, So in this you require X normal H3PO4, right? You have to find out the normality of the H3PO4 which is being given to you. Then you have to take a strong base, zero point 0.5 normal NaOH you can take, 100 ml glass beaker, glass electrode, pH meter and magnetic stirrer. Right, and in this practical there would be two parts, pilot set and the micro set. Okay, so first of all you have to start with the pilot set. In that, suppose say I have taken 50 ml of 0.05 normal H3PO4. Okay, 0.05 normal, you have to find out the normality, but over here I am telling you that the X normal H3PO4 is 0.05 normal H3PO4 which you have taken in a beaker. You can take 50 ml of 0.05 normal H3PO4 in a beaker, right? So before the addition of the NaOH, find out the pH value, and as I told you, it would be around 1.6 to 1.7. So over here it is 1.65. So this graph is the same one, right? So initially the pH would be very less, as I told you, it is 1.65. Then you have to keep on adding the NaOH from the burette, and you have to find out the pH values at the interval of 1 ml of NaOH, right? And you have to find out the delta pH and delta V. Okay, delta V is the volume of the NaOH, I mean the difference in the volume of the NaOH which is being added. Now you can see that as you keep on adding the NaOH, the pH would gradually increase, and then you will be able to properly see the pH break. And this is your first jump, because equivalence point you would be obtained from the micro set. Okay, so pilot set will give you the first jump. Okay, you can see that if you check the readings, this is the maximum reading, maximum difference in the pH value. Okay, so this is your first jump. You can see over here the pH is still acidic. After that, again you need to keep on adding the NaOH. You will be getting the second jump. Okay, and now you can see that at the second jump the pH would be mildly alkaline. It would be around, I mean, over here due to the pH break there is a sudden change in the pH values, but if you see before the jump, you can see that the pH is mildly alkaline, it is 7.34, right? But since you have obtained over here the second jump, and over here I have told you that after the second jump immediately you need to add 10 to 15 ml of 10% neutral calcium chloride. So over here, after taking this reading of 9 ml addition of NaOH, immediately you need to add 10 to 15 ml of 10% neutral calcium chloride solution. Okay, so when you add the neutral calcium chloride solution, this reaction would occur, these protons would be released in the solution, and due to this the pH would drop. You can see that over here pH from 10.32 it get dropped to 5.36, so there would be a sudden drop. Okay, and after that when you keep on adding the NaOH, the pH would again increase, and over here you will be getting the third jump, and you can easily obtain the pH break. I mean, you can easily observe the pH break, and you can easily observe the third equivalence point. Okay, so these are the three jumps, because the neutralization occurs in three different steps. So you will be getting the three jumps during the practical. Okay, and after this you have to go for the micro set, and micro set is performed in order to obtain the exact equivalence point. Okay, so first jump is at 5 ml, second jump is at 9 ml, and third jump is at 13 ml. So for the micro set you have to take the micro readings from 4 to 5 ml. Okay, then from 8 to 9 ml, and then from 12 to 13 ml, right? So for the micro set I have not put over here the readings, but for the micro set you have to first of all write down the volume of the NaOH which is being added, then pH, delta V, then delta pH upon delta V. Okay, you have to find out all of these values, right? So this graph is being drawn by using the pilot set, that is of pH versus volume of NaOH added. You will be having a range of the pH and the range of the NaOH which is being added, and from the in the micro set what you have to do is again you have to take 50 ml of 0.05 normal H3PO4. Okay, and you have to first of all find out the pH of the solution before the addition of the NaOH. Then you have to add 1 ml of NaOH, find out the pH, second ml, third ml, then fourth ml. Then you have to take the micro readings from 4 to 5. So you have to add 4.1 ml, 4.2 ml, 4.3 ml, 4.4 ml. Okay, like that way up till 5 ml at the difference of 0.11 ml, or you can say at the interval of 0.11 ml, you have to find out the pH values. After this is being done, add 6 ml, 7 ml, then add 8 ml, and then again 8.1, 8.2, 8.3, 8.4, like that up till 9, then 10, 11, 12, then 12.1, 12.2, 12.3, 12.4, 12.5, like that. Okay, and you have to write down all of the readings of the microset. And from the microset, you have to draw this graph that is of delta pH upon delta V upon the volume of the NaOH. So in this, you will be getting the three peaks. Okay, that would be V1, V2, and V3. Now, suppose say the three equivalence points V1, V2, and V3 are 4.4 ml, 8.5 ml, and 12.3 ml. Okay, so from the second set, you can get the exact equivalence point. Now this 4.4 ml is between 4 and 5 ml, right? This 8.5 is between 8 and 9 ml, and this last one 12.3 is between 12 and 3 ml. Okay, wherein we have taken the micro readings in the micro set, right? So microset is basically used in order to find out the exact equivalence point. So once all of the three equivalence point is being obtained, you can easily find out the ionization constant value, which is the aim of the practical. Okay, first, second, and third ionization constant values. Okay, and I have already told you standard values at 25 degrees Celsius, right? Now you all know what is Henderson's equation. It is pH equals to pKa plus log salt upon acid, right? So over here, acid is H3PO4, and salt would be formed when H3PO4 will react with NaOH, right? Salt would be obtained, right? So over here, we want to find out pKa, that is ionization constant value. So in this equation, you just see when pH would be equal to pKa, when this term would be 0. Okay, at that time pH would be equal to pKa, right? So when this term would be 0, that you need to think now. Okay, this would be 0 when the concentration of salt and the concentration of the acid would be same. Okay, because if the concentration of salt and acid is same, then it would be log 1, because both the concentration would get cut, and log 1 is 0. So in that case, pH would be equal to pK. So now let us see when salt would be equal to acid. Okay, when the concentration of the salt would be equal to acid. Okay, over here, if we consider the first step, okay, wherein the H3PO4 will react with NaOH to give you NH2PO4 salt plus H2O. So when the concentration of H2PO4 minus, okay, and the concentration of the first proton is same in the solution, at that time pH would be equal to the first ionization constant, that is pKa1. Okay, so when it would happen? It would happen at half of the equivalence point value. Okay, you can see over here pKa1 equals to pH at first half equivalence point. Okay, so first equivalence point is 4.4 ml. Okay, so the pH at first half equivalence point would be equal to pKa1. Okay, so over here V1 is suppose say 4.4 ml. So V1 by 2 would be 2.2, right? So using this graph, you have to find out the 2.2 over here. Draw a straight line, then again draw a straight line. So whatever the pH you get would be equal to pKa1, or you can say pK1. Okay, so pKa1 would be equal to pH at first half equivalence point, because at half of the equivalence point, half of the neutralization would occur. Okay, we know that at the equivalence point, neutralization would be completely done. Okay, I'm talking over here of the first equivalence point. Okay, so at the first equivalence point, neutralization of the first proton would be completely done. Okay, so at half of the equivalence point, at half of the equivalence point, the first proton would be neutralized half. So in that case, in the beaker, there would be half amount of the salt and there would be half amount of the first proton. Okay, so in that case, concentration of the salt and concentration of the acid would be same. So it would be log 1 equals to 0 and pH would be equal to pK. Okay, so in this way you can find out the first ionization constant, that is pKa1. Now suppose say the value which you have obtained for pKa1 is 1.89, which you have obtained from the graph. Okay, so first ionization constant would be 1.89. Okay, I have already given over here the standard value and you can see that it is very near to it. Okay, and there would be slight changes due to the change in the temperature. Now pKa2 equals to pH at V1 plus V2 by 2. Okay, so you have to find out the V1 plus V2 by 2. V1 and V2 you already know. So 4.4 plus 8.5 divided by 2. So whatever the value you get, you have to locate that in a graph, draw a straight line, and again then draw a straight line. So whatever the pH value you get over here, that would be equal to pKa2 or pK2, right? So you can see over here, this is the second equivalence point and this is the half of the second equivalence point. Okay, and whatever the pH is there, it would be equal to the ionization constant, because again at the second half equivalence point, the concentration of the salt and the concentration of the second proton would be same. Okay, because it would be half neutralized. Okay, then for the third ionization constant value, you cannot determine it from the graph. Okay, for it normal calculation is there, that is pKa3 equals to 2 into pH at V2 minus pK2. Okay, so pH at V2 you can get it from the microset table. Okay, V2 is 8.5. So at 8.5 ml, whatever the pH value you have obtained, that you have to write it down, multiply by 2 minus pK2. So pK2 is this one, pK2 or pKa2, it is one and the same. And suppose say it is 12.30, right? So over here you can see that these are the pKa1, pKa2 and pKa3 values, and they are nearer to these values, which are standard values at 25 degrees Celsius, right? But there would be slight changes in it, because as I told you that ionization constant value would remain constant at a constant temperature. So with the change in temperature, there would be slight changes in the ionization constant values of it. Now you can convert this pKa values into Ka values, right? This values and this values could be interconverted with the help of an equation. So over here equation is pH equals to minus log Ka, and therefore Ka would be equal to anti log minus pH value. Okay, so over here we know that pH is equals to pKa. So you have to write down the pKa1, pKa2, and pKa3 value in this equation, and you have to find out the first, second, and third ionization constant values of it. So for the first one, the pH would be 1.89, or you can say pKa1 would be 1.89. So you have to put it in this equation. Okay, anti log minus 1.89, and you will be getting 1.3 into 10 raised to minus 2. Then you have to use the second value, put in this equation, find out and you will be getting 7.7 into 10 raised to minus 8, and then put the third value, you will be getting 5 into 10 raised to minus 13, right? So over here we saw that the values were in 10 raised to minus 2, 10 raised to minus 8, and 10 raised to minus 13. So over here also from the practical which we have done, the values are in 10 raised to minus 2, 10 raised to minus 8, and 10 raised to minus 13, which are nearer to the ionization constant values at 25 degrees Celsius, right? So there would be slight changes in the values due to the change in the temperature that would happen. Okay, or else the values are highly accurate. Okay, they are very nearer to the standard values at 25 degrees Celsius. So in this way you can find out the first, second, and third ionization constant of the phosphoric acid, which is a triprotic acid. And even you can find out the normality of H3PO4, which is being given to you. Okay, with the help of N1 B1 equals to N2 B2. Okay, so you can even find out the value of H3PO4 in grams, which has been given to you, okay, or which you have taken in a beaker. Okay, so 1000 ml 1 normal NaOH equals to 32.67 gram H3PO4, and 12.30 is the total amount of NaOH which is being required for the complete neutralization of H3PO4, right? So you have to take V3 ml over here, that is 12.30 or 12.3 you can say. So 12.30 ml, 0.5 normal NaOH, because we are taking 0.5 normal NaOH, okay, equals to, you have to find out, and the answer is 0.201 gram per 50 ml. Why gram per 50 ml? Because we have taken 50 ml of H3PO4 in a beaker, right? And if you want to convert it into liter, okay, then multiply it with 20 and you will be getting final answer, that is 4.02 gram per liter H3PO4. So in this way you can find out the first, second and third ionization constant values of triprotic acid, that is phosphoric acid. You can even find out the normality of H3PO4 which has been given to you, and you can even find out the amount in gram